Hi, everyone. Before I start talking about week 2, I would like to remind you that there are a few of you who still have not signed up for a topic for your research paper. The list is on Moodle and Sign Up Genius. So if you haven't done that, please do so. Also, there are some of you who have not emailed me stating that you have read and understand the syllabus. So please do those two things as soon as possible. Week 2, we're going to talk about supplemental materials for teaching content reading. We're talking about websites, trade books, magazines, lots of other resources we're going to explore this week. The topic of dyslexia is also addressed, including appropriate strategies for teaching students diagnosed with this particular learning disorder. At the end of the week, you should be able to understand the role of trade books in supplementing textbooks, investigate information sources available for use with content reading, determine a definition for dyslexia, research and determine appropriate reading strategies for students diagnosed with dyslexia, and locate and contact a community library to determine resources available for teachers in the content area. And I realize this may be a little tricky because I am not sure all libraries have reopened. So if your community library is not yet open, please make me aware of that as soon as you can. Your assigned readings from subjects matter are Chapter 4, which is Toward a Balanced Diet of Reading. And it talks about a balance of what? Building your classroom library and managing your classroom library. Chapter 8 deals with independent reading workshop and content areas. So you have individual and small groups in independent reading, how to conduct mini lessons, and keeping students on task during that reading time. Chapter 9 talks about content area book clubs. What are the origins of content area book clubs? How do you get started? What's the teacher's role? How do you assess that? Lots of good information. Week 2 PowerPoint. Please remember that the MVNU has library resources, the Ohio link. I referred to this earlier. You need to look up a library near your home or school. You can call or visit, but find out what kind of services are available for teachers. This is going to be PowerPoint response number 1 on your PowerPoint document. Literature across the curriculum. Why should you use trade books? Well, it's going to make teaching a various subject much more interesting for you and for your students. It's going to give them rich literary experiences. It makes things more real when you're using that informational text. Using trade books allows students to read multiple perspectives, which help them develop critical thinking skills. Using trade books, you're going to face controversial issues head on. Textbooks often steer away from controversy. Using trade books, again, allows students to see the subject from the viewpoint of real people. The information is presented in interesting formats. It's often more readable than a textbook. And it can extend and create new interests for your students. PowerPoint response number 2. Why do we use literature or other supplemental resources in addition to or in lieu of the textbook? Textbooks are often biased. They are more often than not outdated. Think about a textbook that you had back in high school. The format is not very interesting when you open it. It doesn't make you want to dive in and read about that subject. And in textbooks, the writing style is often difficult for many students to read. Well, how do we use trade books? We could use trade books to introduce the topic, to get them hooked. We can supplement topics with different trade books. We can use trade books as part of a thematic unit, as a read aloud during other lesson activities, or as assigned readings, or for extra credit. But students need to know there is more than a textbook out there that they can get information on a topic from. Types of trade books to consider: historical fiction, nonfiction, poetry, folk literature, picture books. Our course focuses on nonfiction. Why do we read aloud in content classes? And if teachers aren't, they need to be. As teachers, we want to tie reading not only to pleasure, but also to encourage further reading and inquiry. We want to encourage discussion and application of content materials. We want to provide an opportunity to model the different purposes of reading, including the variety of resources readers use daily and the volume of information available. When you're reading informational text, learning becomes much more relevant and exciting. It models how to be an expressive reader. If you're reading aloud to your students, it gives them a break from the lecture. It helps students grasp the relationship of reading in content in real life. So, response number 3 on your PowerPoint response documents. Why do we read aloud in the content area classes or subjects? Then you are to share a short summary of an article or website you located for information on content area book clubs. Make sure to include either a copy of the article or link to a website where it might be found. So response 4 is a summary of this article that you found on content area book clubs. 5 is the actual copy of the article or a link to the article. Now, dyslexia. It is a neurological condition caused by wiring structure in the brain, and it has no relation to intelligence. There's no cure, but coping strategies can be learned. Students with dyslexia have difficulty in processing the written form of language and the sound structure of language. Current research studies on developmental dyslexia are to determine causes, identification, and avenues of treatment. Your response, number 6, is to give your definition of dyslexia. And I hope that you all have started on your dyslexia assignment, which is due week 5. There is a detailed video under instructor announcements about this if you have not already viewed it. The flip charts that are referred to frequently are the Janet Allen Tools for Teaching Content Literacy and More Tools for Teaching Content Literacy. These two are excellent resources for your professional library. If you have questions about the dyslexia assignment after you view the detailed video, please ask me. Okay, Forum 2.1. After you've read the 3 chapters from the Daniels and Zemelman text, present a new or interesting idea that you feel will improve your teaching based upon your reading. Please be sure that you are using accurate APA citations and references. Respond to posts of your classmates. We want that dialogue going. Questions. If you're asked a question, please respond. And here are, again, the PowerPoint responses listed out for you. If you have any questions, please ask me. I also hope that you are thinking about your research paper. I will be posting a video soon with more details about that if you've not already read through that in the syllabus. But it is a 10-page paper. And remember, it is linked to content, information, informational text. If you have questions, let me know. Thank you.